Hey, all you cool cats. Ready for a little fun? That's what I thought. Pop Talk, Scooby-Doo-Wah-Doo-Wah, Pop Talk. The fun never stops, you know. Pop Talk. If you're a nerd or a jock, run, don't just walk. Get ready to rock, you got Pop Talk.
Now, from Funko Hollywood, it's time for Pop Talk.
Hey everybody, it's your pal Funmaker Mike. Look at what we got, Season 3. This is going to be an unbelievable episode when you hear our next guest. You know him from Goonies, Stand By Me. We'll just get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Funko fanatics of all ages, welcome Corey Feldman.
Hey!
All right, this is going to be fun. I'm so excited to talk to you today.
I'm excited too. I love your laboratory. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Everything here is so fascinating. So many great collections and just a piece of every part of history. I love it.
This is our fun lab, and let's have some fun. I'm going to do this. This is going to be the first Pop Talk. We're going to start with rapid fire fun.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you some questions. Favorite movie of all time?
That's a tough one. I'm never really good with like one of anything.
Yeah.
Like I say like in my top 5 or my top 10. So I would go with that. But my top 5 I guess would be all the Star Wars films as one, all the Godfather films as one, Wizard of Oz, Color Purple, maybe Pink Floyd The Wall.
Wow. All right. Favorite cartoon growing up as a kid?
Probably Super Friends. You know, the Justice League.
Yeah,
I think that was probably my favorite because it had all of them, and I loved, you know, Batman and Superman, and I was a big superhero guy, always running around with a towel and a cape and the gloves. I'd use my grandmother's kitchen gloves, and those would be my superhero rubber gloves.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Get off my yard, lame-o!
Ricky! Yo! Get this lame-o out of your yard!
Get out of my yard, lame-o! Hey! Hey!
As you know, Funko's a collectibles company.
Yes.
Do you, Corey Feldman, collect anything?
I'm not a collector per se, but I do have a collection.
Okay.
Okay, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So people gift me stuff a lot, right? So like if it's something really cool that, you know, I'm a fan of the movie or I'm a fan of the music or I'm a fan of whatever, then I'll save it. But the other thing is that I collect kind of meaningful things. So I'll have, like I have a display. If you ever come over to my house, I have a big display wall that takes up a whole room. And it's got stuff both from like artifacts from my own films. You know, I have like the baseball cap that I wore in the Bad News Bears when I was 7 years old. And then there's stuff like, you know, I have a signed Elvis record, or I have, you know, a bunch of stuff from Neverland and Michael Jackson, or, you know, stuff from all my movie sets. So I like to collect little bits and pieces. And if it's like a famous artist and they sign something for me and they give it to me, then I put that in the collection too.
And it's almost like a living museum.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when you come into my house, it's literally a museum. Like you'll see stuff, you know, oh, this piano was used on this TV show, or this piano was used on that, or this, you know, guitar is from this tour. This is, you know, everything has got a place.
I mean, getting back to the movie stuff, what is your fondest movie experience? Was there a certain movie that really clicked with you? Maybe not one that you were in, but maybe one that you saw and it really either motivated you or it took you to another place?
I think there's both, you know. There's the ones that you watch as a spectator and you get motivated and inspired, and there's some beautiful films. I mean, Color Purple is one of them, you know, that really tears at my heartstrings. I can't watch it without crying.
Yeah.
But then there's movies of mine that I feel that way. Like, even though I know it's a dang movie, you know, like a cartoon, like Fox and the Hound. I did that when I was 7, and I still cry every time I watch it. You know, that's ridiculous, right? It's a dang cartoon, and I'm not even the target audience. I'm an adult, but I still, yeah, so. But you asked about film experiences. Let me say that for a minute.
Yeah.
Goonies, you know, obviously you've got a whole Goonies line of the Funkos, right?
Yeah.
That was the most fun. You know, Goonies, it was 6 months. You know, 6 months with a bunch of kids around your age, you know, working through the summer, so you didn't have school for part of the time. And then, you know, you're in Oregon together, you guys are out in the middle of nowhere in Astoria at a fishing town, you know, just kind of dealing with everyday life. And then you go to Warner Brothers and you're like the toast of the studio lot because we had the biggest stage, which was stage 16. And on top of it, we had 3 additional stages. So we were working on 4 sound stages with 2 of the greatest directors in history, Steven Spielberg and Richard Donner. So how can you beat that? You know what I mean? And then on top of it, the guests every day, Pee Wee Herman, Cyndi Lauper, Michael Jackson. I mean, every pop icon, Harrison Ford walked through the caves with us. I mean, you know, all that stuff, you're just like, come on, you know, that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen to normal people. So it was a truly rewarding, amazing experience. And we're all still very close friends.
Yeah, so getting back into Goonies and stuff in Astoria, and that must have been magical. Did you realize at the time when you were shooting that, hey, this is going to be a magical movie? I mean,
yeah,
I know
course.
people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, all the way up. It's in their top 5 movies.
Yeah, isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
You know, I didn't think at the time it would be this, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I thought, oh, it's a Steven Spielberg movie, it's gonna be huge, you know? And I knew that it would be big for a while, and I definitely believe that, but I didn't think 40 years from now it's gonna be like Star Wars of kids movies, you know, or adventure films or whatever, but it's kind of what it's become, you know? I mean, even Warner Brothers says, you know, it's our #1 family film, our family title. Now you're talking about the company that brought you The Wizard of Oz and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And both of them have now been beaten out by Goonies. And you're like, what?
Do you think it's because the kids, the characters in the movie, everybody can see something in themselves?
Yeah.
You know, and
it's a band of misfits, right?
Yeah.
I mean, don't we all feel like misfits sometimes?
Yeah, that's well put, because I've thought that and said that myself, you know.
You know, you feel like the goofiest guy there, right? Or like, you know, how did I get so lucky to be here? I don't belong. Or, you know, all those feelings we all feel, those insecurities. And the thing is about believing in yourself and believing in your dreams. And Goonies, for me, was a great example of that, because when it first came up as a concept, Steven called me at home and said, I'd like you to come to my office. I have an idea for you. I want to run past you. Now, there's history to this, because the history is I met Steven when I was 10, and I auditioned for E.T. A lot of people don't know this, but I was actually originally cast by Steven in E.T. I was supposed to be one of the stars of that film. And the script was very different in those days. So when I read for it, I read for Elliot's best friend, which was going to be the storyline. It was going to be these two kids, a kid and his best friend, who found, you know, the alien and their adventure trying to rescue him. Well, that developed because they thought, well, you know, maybe not two best friends, maybe we make it a family movie, so let's make it an older brother and a younger sister and get rid of the friend. So after I got the role, and Steven spent the whole day with me telling me how great it was going to be and how much fun, and then all of a sudden, like, we didn't hear anything for a couple months, and then we get the call that, like, oh, I'm so sorry, we did a rewrite over the summer and your part was cut out, and now we have to go on without you. But I was like crushed.
Yeah.
And Steven says, I make you a promise. Whatever film I do next, you will be in.
Wow.
As long as there's a part for you, you'll be in it. And I'm like, okay, fingers crossed, you know. Didn't expect to ever hear from the guy again, really. Sure enough, you know, Gremlins came along, and they called me up and they said, hey, we've got this movie. You know, I'm not directing it, but it's a cute little movie, and it's about these little creatures, and da-da-da-da. Would you be interested? Yes, please. You know, okay, you got to go read for Joe Dante. So I went and read for Joe Dante, got the part. Then, fast forward 2 years, Steven calls me again on a Sunday or something at home. He says, you know, would you come down to Amblin? You know, it's the middle of summer, but would you come down? I said, sure. And he sat me down at this long boardroom table, and he said, we have a concept. We want to do this movie that's going to be like Indiana Jones with kids. What do you think? And I'm like, please, love it. Are you kidding me? So, and then boom, all of a sudden it happened. We got the script delivered the very next day, and it was magic. Reading this was magic, because I knew everybody in town wanted to see this script. Everybody wanted to know what the Goonies was. And I wanted to know what the Goonies are. Like, what is this already? I want to, you know, there's creatures, there's pirate ships, there's all these things going on. What is this movie? So it was brilliant. You know, it was just lucky, lucky, lucky.
Are you more passionate about music in your music career than you are acting?
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of get that.
Yeah. Probably because there's so much more artistic freedom, you know. And the other thing I think is I'm pretty proud of the fact that I did it on my own. So the very first song I recorded, I was 15 years old, and I recently uploaded that video onto YouTube as part of my box set. I put out a big box set. But the thing is, now I've got 3 top 40 Billboard hits under my belt. You know, we've done successful tours all over the United States. We're going international this year. So it's become a real thing. And it was just through a lot of dedication, hard work, and perseverance, and manifestation, because I always believed this is where I was supposed to end up, you know?
Yeah.
But it just took a long time for everybody else to catch on.
Well, let's talk about that. So you're I can already tell you're one of those guys that you've already seen the future. You already know where you're going.
Exactly.
And it's just a matter of when, right?
Yes. It's when the opportunities present themselves, but they always seem to, you know, whatever it is, any dream, it always kind of formulates, maybe not exactly the way that I saw it, but you still get there. You still get there.
Right. Wow, this is good stuff. And especially for like our younger viewers, I think this is a powerful message. Like, talk a little bit about how you deal, especially with this social media world that we all live in now. How do you deal with criticisms, and how do you deal with those naysayers?
Well, I block it out, really. I mean, listen, I've had some very tumultuous times. You know, I put out a documentary which was very powerful, but a lot of people didn't want it out, and they barraged me with trolls and with haters and all of that stuff to really break your spirit. That's what they want. They want to break your spirit so that you back down. And it never worked. And the reason why it never worked is because I put on those blinders and I said, you know what? I don't want to hear the negative. I don't want, just like not accepting no for an answer. I don't believe in the word no. Never giving up. That's the key. And if you're in school, never give up. If you're following your dream, if you want to be a baseball star or play football or be on the soccer team, whatever it is, whatever your dream is, don't give up. Don't stop. Just keep going forward.
I know you probably are a big fan then of movie soundtracks.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, what's your favorite? Is it like, you know, is it Grease or is it?
I love Grease.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite.
Great one. Wizard of Oz, obviously. Love the whole soundtrack. Amazing. And Color Purple. It's another great one. Brilliant, beautiful soundtrack produced by Quincy Jones.
What are your top 80s bands?
I mean, Aerosmith. Love Aerosmith, you know, especially back in the day. They were so great, like Ragdoll and stuff like that.
Yeah, that Toys in the Attic album.
Yeah, really great. Don Henley, I like Don Henley as a solo artist. Billy Joel as a solo artist. I have such diverse taste, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of like all over the map. Rick Springfield.
Yeah.
Great. Love Rick
now
Springfield.
we're talking.
Yes, amazing.
And how would you describe, so people can, the people that haven't seen you or your music now that want to get into it, like?
So I have two projects. I have my band Truth Movement, which is basically a tribute to all classic rock. Then my solo stuff is all over the map. It's pop, it's rock, it's some cases hip hop, some cases EDM, like literally all over the genres. But my biggest songs are probably like Go For It, which I did with Snoop Dogg, and that's the one we did on the Today Show, which went viral and 1 billion people watched it over like 2 days, which was crazy.
Wow.
And then What's Up With the Youth, which I actually premiered on the Howard Stern Show way back in the early 90s, and I've done 10 film soundtracks through the years. So there's a lot of films people don't realize that my music's in there somewhere. Dream a Little Dream, Dream a Little Dream 2, the last Lost Boys movie, you know, all kinds of stuff. It's all over there.
Out of all the roles you've played, which do you think's the closest to your personality?
Oh, that's a good one. Probably Bobby Keller in Dream a Little Dream. Like there's like a sensitive side to him. He's kind of got a punk side to him. He's a dancer. He's got, you know, all these kind of facets of me. But the furthest from me, which is to me the most fun, which is the biggest departures, is actually a film that we just premiered in New York with Jordan Peele. He threw a film series highlighting some of the work that inspired his most recent film, Nope. And one of the films was a film of mine called The Birthday, which, you know, the director is just nominated for a Critics' Choice Award the other day for his new series, which is called Garcia. So he was nominated for that, but the thing that was on everybody's mind was this movie that he made 20 years ago that never got released. And it's because both him and I have always believed one day it will get justice. This is a beautiful cinematic masterpiece. And that's what Jordan Peele said. He said it's a cinematic masterpiece.
That's amazing. So I guess part of the lesson here is
never giving up.
Yeah, never giving up. And even if it's 20 years later, you still made it, you manifested it.
That's right.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love hearing this stuff.
Yeah.
When you were a kid, were you going to public school during some of this?
Yeah.
You were? Mm-hmm. And
all the way up until about 13.
Were you ever dealing with like
No, I never was a dealer.
Were you ever dealing with kids though? Like, was there any kind of like hate and backlash for kids?
Always.
Like, oh, really?
Oh, terrible. You know, I think it was kind of around just the anger and the beatings, because, you know, kids bullied me and they beat me up almost every day, and I was little, you know, I was a little kid. And then around the time of Lost Boys, I started getting a little bit more confidence, and then, you know, that led to this big, you know, turning point, I guess, in my life, where I'd been abused by my family, I'd been abused by these kids at school, and I just felt so miserable and alone. I couldn't get a girlfriend because all the girls would make fun of me, and, you know, it was just really ugly. But there came a turning point when it was the last day at this private school, and the kids decided that they were going to give me a going away present because I had to leave early. And that was going to be a swirly. Do you know what a swirly is?
Yeah.
When they take a kid, hang them upside down,
yeah,
and flush their head in the toilet. It's about the nastiest thing you could imagine.
Sure.
So anyway, these kids threatened me. They said, we're going to give you a swirly.
Yeah.
You know, and it hits 3 o'clock, and they grab me from behind, and they put this jacket. I was wearing like a members only jacket, like the one I had in Goonies. And they take it and they put it over my head, and then they pick me up by my legs. So I'm like hanging upside down, and I see the floor. They pull me out, they pull me around the corner, and I kind of look up and I see the teacher, and the teacher's just standing there, and he's watching it happen. And I'm like, dude, help me out here, you know? You're supposed to be the teacher, you're supposed to say something. Didn't say a word, just let it go. So they pulled me around the corner, I see the tile of the floor changing, I then see the sides of the, you know, the doorway, and I can tell where we're going, and I know we're going into the bathroom. Somehow in like one move, I managed to like wiggle out of the thing, rip the jacket off, do a flip, land on my feet, and come out swinging. And I just saw red.
Yeah.
And it just fury, you know? And I just swung and swung and swung. And that was the turning point. That's when I realized, you know what? I'm not gonna take this from people anymore. I'm gonna stand up for myself. If nobody else is gonna protect me, then I gotta do it.
Wow. Wow, so that was the defining moment.
Yeah,
wow.
for sure.
That's powerful.
That's
wow.
what you gotta know. You gotta know you're better than that.
That's great, man. Corey, I love that you shared that with us.
Thank you.
That's huge. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about social media.
Okay.
Okay, just as what's your opinion in this new world of social media? Is it good? Is it bad? Do you have to, how do you navigate that?
You know, you need to tread lightly, especially as children, because there's so many dark holes on the web. There's so many places you can get sucked into that are gonna feed you misinformation. I had something happen with my son. You know, he's a very smart kid, very spiritual kid, great kid, but, you know, he starts going down the YouTube rabbit hole and starts following this guy who's giving bad information, saying, oh, you need to do this and you need to do that, and he starts telling him to drink this natural stuff that you can get at the health food store because it's gonna clean out your chakras and open up your whatever. And, you know, went down a rabbit hole, which led to some really bad stuff that could have happened, and luckily we got him just in time, you know, before anything really bad happened. But the point is that there's people out there that feed you lies. There's people out there that misguide you, mislead you, because they want to control your mind. They want to get you to buy their product. They want to get you to whatever they've got to manipulate you to do, and even if it's selling a bag of lies. So please, kids, if you're watching, please don't go meet anybody you meet on the internet, ever, unless your parents are with you. Make sure they're with you at all times, because, you know, it's a dangerous world out there, and especially you don't know somebody. Somebody tells you that they're, you know, a 30-year-old woman or a 10-year-old kid or whatever they tell you doesn't mean it's true, because people lie, and especially when they hide behind a keyboard, so you really don't know who you're talking to, so please be careful.
Yeah, good advice. Thank you. All right, what did you build there today?
Oh, I built, since you guys don't have a Corey Feldman doll yet, which of course is just a tragedy, but I made my own version of a Corey doll.
It's pretty close.
It's not bad, right? He just needs a cool jacket, and maybe if we could get some spiky hair.
Yeah.
Or we could do the long hair version, maybe a fedora. You know, there's things we could do.
All right, you've been popped, though, remember?
Yes,
Of course,
Mouth,
there you go.
Donatello.
Oh yeah, Donatello.
See, there you go.
And do you sign a lot of these things?
I do. It's amazing how many we sign. I mean, we go to these autograph conventions, and it's just like they come from out of nowhere. And I'm like, you know, I've been in plenty of stores that carry them, and I've never once seen, maybe the Donatello, but I've definitely never seen the Goonies or the Lost Boys one. So it's just amazing that people find these things, they know how to find them.
Yeah.
You know, they're obsessed. It's a great business you got here. Everybody loves them.
You know, I just want to thank you for sharing a lot of these stories. They were really powerful, and I think in these times they needed to be talked about. And I think you're the ultimate comeback king, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hear it for Corey Feldman. Thank you, sir.
God bless you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I
That was
appreciate it.
really wonderful.
Thank you.